He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in,
Together, we are Jalen Jacoby. What is it that we do, Mr. Rose?
we give the people what they want.
Jalen, you are a man of your word. You gave the people of Toronto what they wanted. You said you were going to crowd surf in Jurassic Park. And you did it. There you are. Just leaning back and letting the people of Toronto support you as you crowd surf above the faithful in Jurassic Park. What was the feeling of crowd surfing?
I was just living my best life, and for those that don't know, crowd surfing is clearly cultural. However, it was universal in this dynamic. Being a Detroit native, somebody that's been a member of the Raptors, I appreciate the love that they've given me over the years. And so it was my way to give back to a franchise that has never been to an NBA Finals in 25 years. Jurassic Park has become the most unique home court advantage in the entire NBA. California has 4 teams. Los Angeles has 2 teams. Canada has 1 team, the Toronto Raptors. And in different cities in Toronto, they've set up Jurassic Parks. How about you can go to the movie theaters and watch the games for free while they're happening in the NBA Finals in Toronto? So they've done a terrific job. Masai Ujiri, I give him a lot of credit for creating an atmosphere. So it was only right that I tried to crowd surf so I could start a trend moving forward.
Well, all that support of the fans did not get them the win in Game 2. As we look ahead to Game 3, the main story right now is Klay Thompson going to be available? He has a hamstring strain, and he is questionable at this moment for Game 3. Do you think he will play? Do you think he should play in Game 3?
I think he will play. I do not think he should play.
Ooh.
When you have a grade 1 strain, it takes a couple of days for that to heal. Everybody saw the video of him after the game when KD and he were giving dap to the people that came off the floor. That's not something that I would risk if I was the Golden State Warriors. You're playing at home. You are a super team. You still have Steph. Draymond has basically been the MVP in the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals so far. You have Boogie, who's now mainstream. Whatever happened to our Boogie? You remember the times where I was screaming Boogie on this show when he was in Sacramento, when he was with the Pelicans, and people didn't give him no love. Now all of a sudden, he get 11 points, 10 rebounds, and 6 assists. Now all of a sudden, he's national. He's mainstream. We lost our Boogie. So having those guys playing at home, I think should be enough to have a competitive game. I believe the Raptors are going to win more games in this series anyway. As a matter of fact, I said if KD's not healthy, I believe they're going to win the series. So for me, you have to pace your lineup. And what type of firepower would that be if they're able to rest Klay, win or loss in Game 3, and then Game 4 comes. And then you look out at the floor, KD's back, Klay's back. Then you try to send that message to the Raptors that they won't win another game in the series.
So you think that Klay will play, but regardless if he plays, he's not. If he does play, he's not going to be 100%. How does him being hobbled, how does him being slowed by the hamstring change the Warriors' offensive approach and defensive approach?
So for a guy like Klay, who's a knockdown shooter, as well as a lockdown defender, he plays a lot of key roles for the Warriors that go unnoticed. He can get his buckets without high usage, without a lot of dribbles. That's not his game. Also, he locks down on the perimeter, whether it's Fred VanVleet, whether it's Kawhi Leonard. He's going to get minutes on whoever gets going on the perimeter. With him not being 100%, now all of a sudden he may be a step slow. Now, at this point of the year, a lot of people are dealing with injuries. While we're talking all about the Golden State Warriors injuries, you know what we're not talking about? Kawhi Leonard's injuries. I've been watching this guy play forever, okay? Following him since high school, San Diego State, where he played for Coach Fisher. I don't recall watching him play 2 games in a row where he didn't get a dunk.
That's a great point.
Okay, instead of him going towards the basket and having, his in-and-out moves like he did against Philly when he banged on Joel Embiid, or against the Bucks where he bangs on the Greek Freak, while he's getting his points at volume and not being efficient, he's just not the same explosive player. So both teams are dealing with injuries. And you're the Golden State Warriors. You're going for your 4th championship in 5 years. You're playing on your home floor. I don't risk losing Klay by putting him out there. And all of a sudden, if he has a reaction and he can't go the rest of the series, that's going to be a major loss for the Warriors.
Well, there is another major loss for the Warriors, which is low-key a big deal. Kevon Looney is out. He has fractured cartilage in his chest. He has been ruled out for the rest of these finals. How does that affect the way that they spread minutes in the front court?
Hold on. I really got to hit the brakes on these multimedia types like your handsome self, David Jacoby. You've been doing this for 20 years. So we going to act like losing Kevon Looney is a major loss now?
Yes,
is that where
yes,
we're going?
We are.
The
yes,
Golden
we are.
State
Boogie's
Warriors
working himself back. They got to
team.
play somebody that's big. They're going to put Jordan Bell in the finals. Is that what's going to happen now? They play Looney. Looney's a big deal for them.
Andrew Bogut hadn't played the entire game. He walked out on the floor. They did 2 of their old set plays that they were familiar with, and he got lob dunks. Okay? We're not going to be giving the Golden State Warriors any excuses. They don't need them. They're a super team. So much so, we're celebrating Boogie for scoring 11 points. He averaged 26 last year. Okay? So, again, how much artillery do the Golden State Warriors need to pull this off? You tell me. You got Draymond Green. You got Steph Curry. You hope to get Klay back healthy. You hope to get KD back healthy. You got Boogie. What else do they need? The Run TMC?
Well, you mentioned Boogie, and I'm glad you did, because now with Kevon Looney out, you're going to see more Boogie, especially after the way he played in Game 2. What do you expect the Raptors to do to sort of counteract his productiveness on offense?
Again, you know how I feel about Boogie, and I'm really happy for him. And I've talked about it on this program for a decade, how he had scored the most points in the NBA without making it to the playoffs, and how he was going to be a game changer for the Warriors. Yes, if they were healthy from the beginning, with KD, with Boogie, with Andre Iguodala, with 3 of their top 6 players not being hobbled, I would have picked the Warriors in 5. But that was not the case. So now all of a sudden you get the return of Boogie, and he looks like a version of himself that can play better quality minutes than Looney, who's out, than Bogut, who participated, but he's not going to have the versatility and the productivity of a guy like Boogie. Now all of a sudden it unlocks their lineup. And I think his productivity probably is going to put it over the edge for the Golden State Warriors.
Do you think Gasol can cover Boogie?
I think he can, but I just don't think he's going to be able to consistently. Because while Boogie can shoot the 3, he's capable, he's more of a fleet of foot than Marc Gasol. And by the way, Gasol and Serge Ibaka, they got to show up. Like, both of those guys were invisible in the last game. Marc was terrific in Game 1. Serge has been bad in both games. They're going to need both of those guys to be productive, especially against a guy like Boogie, who's shown that he can play big-time minutes and be a difference maker.
Obviously, we will get back to the NBA Finals shortly, but right now it is time for News That Matters. Forbes magazine put out a list, as they do, and this is a big one for the culture. Jay-Z is not a millionaire. Jay-Z is a billionaire, and he's the first hip-hop artist to be listed as a billionaire in Forbes. Jalen, what does this mean for the culture?
Shout to the Rock Nation family led by Jay-Z. It means that you could go from being a bumpy-faced kid with multiple gold chains around your neck to being a billionaire as you continue to mature, grow, and reinventing yourself. And the level of autonomy that he now carries in the culture, I appreciate the fact that he does it respectfully and responsibly. He's not only become a leader, but he's also become the level of entrepreneur that continues to push the narrative that rap music sells. This is why when the Nets are trying to move from New Jersey to Brooklyn, who do they tab as a minority owner? Jay-Z. I still think they should have a statue of Biggie out in the front of the building, but that's another subject for another day. All of the things that he's been able to accomplish and will continue to accomplish is definitely a win for the culture. And you know what didn't get celebrated yesterday for a guy that became a millionaire who has some of the best bars that the game has seen ever in the industry? He married to Beyonce. He married to Beyonce.
I know.
Sean Carter is married to Beyonce. What a time to be alive. How about
and
that?
one thing I found surprising about this report is if you take a look at the different ways that he makes his money, it's not music really. Like, look at that, champagne, that's $300 million. Cash investments, he's invested in Uber. And then Duce, $100 million. Title, I don't believe that. No, Title can't be worth $100 million. It can't. I don't know anybody that has a Title password. I don't know anybody in the world that has a Title account. If you have a Title account, tweet at me, because I do not know anyone that has one. But it's just really impressive in his diversified investments. And you see just what it takes to sort of be a businessman in today's day and age. You have to get money in many different ways. Congratulations to Jay-Z.
He's not a businessman. He's a business.
We have a report from Canada that may indicate that Kawhi Leonard is going to stay there. We'll share that with you right after this.
We don't just dance, we boogie. That's today's theme right there. For anybody that's ever been roller skating to a party, in the backyard, in the basement, at the club.
I've never been roller skating in the basement.
Hey!
Jalen Rose is in the Bay for Game 3 of the Finals. I am at Pier 17 in the South Street Seaport District. We are Jalen Jacoby. We are brought to you by Chase. Jalen, I know it's the middle of the Finals, but that doesn't mean that there isn't some unfounded, irresponsible speculation about free agent Kawhi Leonard. The latest is Michael Landsberg of TSN 1050 in Toronto said that Kawhi Leonard has purchased property in Canada. And he said that he heard from multiple people that this is the case. Jalen, does this mean 100% unequivocally Kawhi Leonard is definitely, positively going to stay with the Toronto Raptors another year at least?
It does not mean that. And I've been on wax acknowledging it would make me happy if he decided to stay in Toronto because the love affair the fans have with that team. I just went to a restaurant yesterday, and the big sign right in front of it, as I paid top dollar for my meal, said, Kawhi Leonard eats free here. That's the kind of love that he's getting over there. I would love to see him stay. However, just because he brought a property, that does not attach him to a team because he could be diversifying his portfolio. We also know that he spent $13 million on a place in California. So his free agency, as a guy that does not talk much, is going to play out for public consumption eventually. But I don't think that this is the lead domino either way to whether he's going to stay or go.
Do you think if the Raptors beat the Warriors in the NBA Finals and bring a championship to Canada, that he's more likely to leave or less likely to leave?
I think it's like 50-50, Jacoby, because if you bring a championship and you want to leave, you can say, I delivered. Y'all never been to the finals in 25 years? I got y'all there. Y'all had so many great players. I was the one that delivered a championship. And those great fans there are still going to love him forever. And as somebody that grew up in the United States, I have to tell you, that love affair is going to be different for him when he returns than what you saw when LeBron returned to Cleveland if he left, or Paul George when he returned to Indiana. It's just a little bit different how they're going to embrace this player because he's able to deliver things that they have not seen.
Well, even with the finals still very much in the balance and these rumors about him buying real estate, there's so much going on for Kawhi Leonard right now. He still found the time to sue Nike. Kawhi Leonard has filed an official lawsuit against Nike about that logo you see in the middle of his chest. The lawsuit says the following, quote, in 2011, Just after being drafted to the National Basketball Association, Kawhi Leonard authored a unique logo that included elements that were meaningful and unique to him. Leonard traced his notably large hand, and inside the hand drew stylized version of his initials, KL, and the number that he had worn much of his career, 2. The drawing Leonard authored was an extension and continuation of drawings he had been creating since early in his college career. Interesting. Jalen, do you think Kawhi Leonard has been drawing that logo since early in his college career?
All I know is he's on his old school Chuck D, and I'm glad that Chuck and Nike repaired their relationship. But he's on that, I like Nike, but wait a minute. He like, wait a minute, this is my logo, this is my likeness. I don't want anybody else to be able to use it. I felt like they did use it. I'm getting my bread now from New Balance. I don't need them. I'm going to sue them. I'm not mad at him for trying to go after something that he feels like was rightfully his. Do I feel like he's the person that physically drew it? No, I can't draw either. But that don't mean I can't own a logo.
So I don't think he drew this, but shout out to him for suing Nike. You know what my first reaction to this story was, Jalen? My very first reaction was, does ESPN and Disney own my name now? Like, I'm like, whoa, wait a second. I mean, my name is on the show. It's ESPN property. Like, do I have to buy my name back from Disney? Let's just never get canceled so we don't have to worry about that. Jalen, on DAZN on Saturday night, the unthinkable happened. Andy Ruiz became...
It's actually great for the sport. And Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua, both of those gentlemen have been so gracious to join our show a couple of times. I feel like I need to defend the honor of Mr. Ruiz here. There's so many people that look at him as a fighter, and yes, he may be shaped like Butterbean, but they want to body shame him and make it seem like he's not capable of a moment that he was able to achieve. This is an accomplished fighter. He's been at his entire career. He's only had one loss. Just because you didn't pay for the fight, just because most people aren't deeply following the heavyweight class, we wanted to treat him like a tomato can. And then he came out and he showed out on the big stage. So I want to give him props. Now let's talk about what I think this really cost Anthony Joshua. You remember when he was on the show and I asked him about the amazing contract that Canelo got with DAZN, the $300 million, and I love the way his face lit up. I think losing this fight cost him at least $100 million. Let me say that again. Losing this fight, I believe, cost him at least $100 million because this was his final fight with DAZN. Now he's trying to get a new contract. His next fight ain't Wilder. Wilder's fighting Fury, and all of a sudden, we're gonna look up at 12 months, and all three of those belts are gonna be on one shoulder, one waist of one Deontay Wilder. This has been an amazing undertaking in the heavyweight division.
Well, people talk about Drake a lot during the NBA Finals, and there's this thing called the Drake curse, which I think Drake gets unfairly criticized for, you know, because he's like me. He's a die easy fan. He just likes different teams whenever he likes them, and I'm like the same way. Well, this did not go well for the Drake curse because Anthony Joshua tweeted this, about to break the curse, in a picture with him and Drake. Jalen, I don't really believe in the Drake curse, but this isn't helping. Do you believe the Drake curse is real?
I don't believe it's real, but this isn't helping. But I do believe it's one thing to think something, it's another thing to speak it in existence. And I tell this to people all of the time. I'm sick, I'm tired, I'm lonely, I can't get it done. You think about all of the things that may lead to failure, but it's another thing when you actually say them into the atmosphere. And for him to post that lets you know that he was conscious. Also, if you're Drake, you really don't like that post because you're attaching him to the curse. And then all of a sudden you get dropped. And now we are talking about whether the curse is real or not.
Well, If the Raptors win the NBA Finals, we will finally do away forever.
Oh,
with the
no,
curse.
that's not
forever.
fair.
If the
That's
Raptors
not
win
fair.
the final,
That's
the
not
curse
fair.
is broken. That is fair. What are you talking about?
He's the #1 Raptors fan, and they made it to the finals for the first time in 25 years. To me, that helps bury the curse.
Okay. Well, certainly an NBA championship would bury it for good. And we will tell you exactly what the Raptors need to do against Steph Curry to slow one half of the Splash Brothers right after this. So much intrigue around Game 3 Wednesday night on ABC at 9. And don't forget, countdown starts at 8:30. And also Saturday on ABC at 3:30 p.m. We have more WNBA action. The Sparks against the Lynx. Our girl, Chine Agwumake, will play for the Sparks. Big friend of the show there.
I got a question,
and every
Jacoby.
morning, Get Up with the Get Up crew. They'll be talking about the Warriors' plans for Klay. They're talking about where Kawhi's headed next and how Tom Brady could possibly repeat as Super Bowl champion.
I got a question, David
Welcome
Jacoby.
back to Jalen and Jacoby. And Jalen Rose has already derailed the program. What do you have to say, Mr. Rose?
You do a great job of reading those promos. You're a highly trained professional. But again, I must say, live on television, Jalen and Jacoby needs to be at a WNBA game near you really soon. I'm putting that on wax. I need to make sure that this program delivers.
Okay. I look forward to it. I would love to do that. Okay. In Game 2, with Klay Thompson out, the Raptors did something I have not seen in an NBA game that I can remember. They went to essentially a box-and-one strategy. After the game, Doris Burke caught up with Steph, and he was asked about it. Let's hear what he had to say.
The whole fourth quarter, they were playing some janky defense, just trying to send bodies to me everywhere. And our whole roster just took advantage of it. Like, over the course of the game, that's kind of disrespectful to leave Andre Iguodala open like that, you know, with the game on the line. He's made big shots like that before.
I love the use of the term janky. You know, it's sort of a gimmicky defense that they threw at him. With Klay Thompson hobbled, do you expect them to continue to focus on Steph the way they did in the fourth quarter of Game 2?
The Golden State Warriors winning Game 2 was about a collective team effort. Klay Thompson got going in the first quarter. Steph Curry got going late in the second quarter. Boogie Cousins had his moments starting at center. Draymond Green was the anchor throughout the game. Quinn Cook hit 3 big threes. But I have to tell you this, when they turned it up in the second half and went on an unprecedented 20-0 run, this is something that has never been seen in the NBA Finals. I have to say this for the Toronto Raptors strategy that nobody's discussing. Yeah, it was janky. Yeah, it was unorthodox. But you know what else it was? Effective.
It was.
This is why the last 5 minutes of the game, the Raptors outscored them 10-0 before Andre Iguodala hit that bare-naked three-point shot. So for the Toronto Raptors, you don't want to overdo it because Fred VanVleet actually does as good of a job as anybody guarding Steph Curry. However, with no Klay Thompson, there are times on the floor, Sean Livingston is great mid-range, but he's not going to spread the floor. Draymond Green is a terrific playmaker and decision-maker. You definitely want him shooting at the three-point line. Boogie Cousins is a willing three-point shooter, but you'd rather have him 23 feet away from the basket than 3 feet away from the basket. So McKinney shot an air ball in the last game. So if Klay's not on the floor, this kind of tips the scales in how they should defend the Golden State Warriors.
Yep.
And I have no problem with them playing boxes and elbows, having somebody run around with Steph and see if somebody else can beat you from 3.
Well, we all remember what happened in Game 1 with Pascal Siakam. We were all celebrating him, 14 for 17 from the field. Game 2, not exactly the same. He was 5 for 18. He wasn't nearly as effective as he was in Game 1. What did the Warriors do differently, and how can he make an adjustment heading into Game 3?
They didn't overhelp and overreact to the greatness of Kawhi Leonard. The way he was dominant in the Eastern Conference playoffs, the Warriors came into this series like, not only are we going to double team his actions, but we're going to send a third man to almost play like a middle linebacker so that if he beats the double team, they're going to be there. And then that gave driving lanes to Pascal Siakam to get layups and dunks. Also, the Raptors did a better job since they shot 50% of getting out in transition. And in the open floor, as Draymond Green alluded to, they were really fast. The coaching staff told them to get ready, and they weren't ready. And lastly, Draymond Green shut his water off. He was 0 for 6 when guarded by Draymond Green. This is why, through the Western Conference Finals and the first 2 games of the NBA Finals, if I had to pick an MVP of the Golden State Warriors, that man represents Saginaw pride, Draymond Green.
Well, there's so much discussion heading into Game 3 about Klay Thompson. Will Klay Thompson play? Will he be available? It's almost like we forgot about a gentleman by the name of Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant says he feels good. There's been discussion about whether or not he's going to come back. It was reported that he would come back in either 3 or 4. Jalen, do you think Kevin Durant will play in Game 3 on Wednesday night in the Bay?
I do not believe KD is going to play.
Ooh.
I do believe Klay's going to play. I would not play Mr. Thompson, however. What I would do is see if Draymond, Curry, Boogie can drive me on my home floor to a Game 3 victory. Then all of a sudden, in Game 4, you bring back the heavy artillery. You bring back KD, and you bring back Klay to try to send a message in this series.
Well, of course it's Kevin Durant. And you know me, it's time for some unfounded, irresponsible speculation about free agent Kevin Durant.
You guys are so unprofessional.
While we have Kawhi Leonard suing Nike, Kevin Durant is still very much a Nike athlete, and they have a whole line of shoes, which are really good, and clothing about Kevin Durant, and they released a T-shirt. And on the back of the T-shirt, kind of like a concert tour, they have a list of all the places Kevin Durant has played basketball. At the bottom of the list, it lists Oakland. And then underneath Oakland, it lists San Francisco, as you see right there. That's interesting because right now the Warriors play in Oakland, but next year they play in San Francisco. Does Nike releasing this T-shirt tell you positively, unequivocally, Kevin Durant's going to stay with the Golden State Warriors next year?
I can only imagine the sternly worded email that my guy, Rich Kleiman, sent the people that they work with at Nike about releasing that ill-advised T-shirt that does not necessarily represent the best interest of one Kevin Durant, who we anticipate is going to leave the Golden State Warriors at the end of this year. Now all of a sudden you pull at the heartstrings of the fans in Oakland who are going to lose the team. Now, let me just also say this. I always talk about the kinship that Detroit has with Oakland. How about all of a sudden the Warriors get good and now they want to run and take their money and move to the suburbs? So you're going to put KD San Fran on the shirt? Like, I just think this was ill-timed, and I'm pretty sure that his camp is not happy about it.
I imagine so. I mean, just the idea that so many different people had to sign off on this shirt, the design of the shirt, the printing of the shirt. They got a sample, they looked at it. So many people had to sign off on that. It's shocking that this finds its way to the market. I thought maybe it was Photoshopped or something when I first saw this story, and then it's actually for sale right now on Nike.com. What a mistake. I'm sure that Mr. Kleiman has written multiple emails that are very strongly worded. You know I love a strongly worded email. Another thing I love, soft move or boss move, and that is next on Jalen Jacoby. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose coming to you live from the Bay Area in advance of Game 3 of the NBA Finals. I'm holding it down here in New York. And right now, it is time for Soft Move or Boss Move. Jalen Rose, you and the Fab Five famously brought black socks and big baggy basketball shorts into prominent fashion. And Rugned Odor is trying to do something similar with baseball. Just take a look at how he has customized his baseball pants and basically turned them into shorts with like tights underneath. Rugned Odor's baseball short pants Soft move or boss move?
I think it's a boss move. If you look at a lot of the times when guys have their socks high anyway, it covers up a portion of the pants. And also, that's the fashion nowadays. If you watch athletes show up at the game, you automatically looking at their calves and their Achilles anyway. So for him to be playing his sport and doing it and it feels more comfortable, I think it's a boss move. And somebody that can't play with T-shirts underneath his shirt, even though I did it in high school, I got to cut the sleeves off, as you know, or I feel like it affects my jumper and my ball handling. Boss move.
So here's a question. I mean, I think you guys really brought in the baggy shorts, but at one point, the shorts got a little too baggy, and now we're going the other way. Fashion always zigs and zags, but now we got some short shorts that are just way too short. Like, do you agree with that?
Of course I don't agree with that. Here's the deal. Here's your line of demarcation, young people. If you have to lay on the bed to put on your pants or shorts, they're too small.
Okay. This next one.
If you can't bend over to tie your shoes, they're too small.
Okay, keep that in mind. This next one is Cody Zeller. And Cody Zeller really wants to keep Kemba Walker with the team. And Kemba Walker making the All-NBA team made him available for a $221 million contract. So Cody Zeller's just taken to the streets to get that money. Here he is starting his own lemonade stand, 25 cents a glass to get $221 million. Starting a lemonade stand to raise $221 million to keep Kemba. Soft move or boss move?
The Zellers have an amazing NBA family. And I've been fortunate enough to meet their parents, and I even asked them to adopt me. Because anytime you have so many players that are performing in the league, I want whatever they're delivering. However, this is a soft move, and I'm going to tell you why.
Why's that?
I wish his level of productivity as a center was just as good as his social media presence and doing things like this. Kemba sees this, and he's like, oh, I'm definitely out. I'm definitely out now. MJ might not pay me my money. I got my center selling lemonade. I need my center in the gym showing me why I need to come back and run with him. So I love the passion that he has for his teammate, but overall, I think this is a soft move.
So let me tell you why this is a soft move, Jalen Rose. And you're close, but you're not right. Take a look. He's just got bottles of Simply Lemonade that he's pouring into a cup. That's not how lemonade stands work. You need a glass pitcher. You need to get some ice involved. Like, you need to show me that provide a service to me that I simply just can't get in the store. I need to see some lemon slices in there. I need a nice glass pitcher with ice. I'm gonna make it feel like it's homemade lemonade if it's not really homemade lemonade. You can't just pour it from the bottle into the cup and charge me money for it. That ain't even
Jacoby,
right. That's why
you
it's
left
soft.
off the most important thing. And I'm surprised of all people walking the face of the earth, you omitted this fact.
What's that?
Where the kids? You can't have adults selling lemonade. You need kids. Where the kids?
You need kids. You need kids. Come on. You can't have a lemonade stand without kids. For real. Soft move, Cody Zeller. Kemba, I hope you stay with the Hornets. Moving on.
Me too. Stay,
Jalen.
Kemba, stay. I mean, free Kemba.
Next is this. It's about the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have said they want to repair their relationship with former superstar Calvin Megatron Johnson. And Calvin Johnson was asked about that, and he gave the following quote in response. He said, quote, "They already know what they got to do. The only way they're going to get me back is they put that money back in my pocket. Nah, you don't do that. I don't care what they say. They can put it back. They can have me back. That's the bottom line." Obviously, he's referring to some of the signing bonus that the Detroit Lions asked him to return to the team when he retired. That was reported to be over $1 million. Jalen, I know this is close to you. Soft move or boss move, asking for your money back?
This is a super boss move.
Oh.
And as a lifer of the city of Detroit, and you know how much I love my hometown, and you know how much I still ride for the Detroit Lions, even though they've never won a Super Bowl. Great players have come through that franchise. Dick Night Train Lane, Al Bubba Baker, Billy Sims, Barry Sanders, Calvin Megatron Johnson. You got to repair the relationship. It's worth more than the $1 million that you're going to have to give him. And if you're the Detroit Lions and you don't want to just write him a check and you want to do something for charity, I have a tuition-free public charter high school that I'm pretty sure that Megatron would not mind you donating the money to, because that's the charity that makes it to the hood.
Something tells me Megatron would love to support Jalen Rose Leadership Academy in any way that he could, but he would probably prefer that money went to him, let's be honest, than the Jalen Rose Leadership Academy. Let's be honest. So we have somewhat of a reconciliation between the Fab Five and the University of Michigan. It's only right that we continue this in the state of Michigan with a reconciliation between Megatron and the Detroit Lions. Asking for your money is definitely a boss move. Jalen, this last one is very important to me. You know I'm passionate about a lot of things: basketball, my family, and Costco. And I love Costco because I love to stock up on items that you're definitely gonna need. Items like toilet paper. Well, Procter & Gamble has changed the toilet paper game forever. They are releasing a new product that is a gigantic roll of toilet paper that comes with its own holder. You're never gonna run out of toilet paper. You're never gonna say, I have too much toilet paper. Soft move or boss move, giant roll of toilet paper for your house.
That's a soft move. I'm currently on the rooftop at the Virgin Hotel in lovely San Francisco. And if you look behind me, that square footage will cost you. You can pay you can have 800 square feet here, and it can cost you $2 million. How am I gonna put that big roll of toilet paper that's almost the same size of the toilet in the bathroom? You need something regular like this. This is what you need. You can't be having all of that in the bathroom. It take up too much space. It's too large. Who has a house, who has a bathroom that's that big in order to use all of that toilet paper? That's a soft move. Come on, man. Ain't nobody got that space.
Two things I know about you.
Come on, man.
Two things I know about you. One thing I know about you, you do not prepare for the program. So you did not know that we were going to have this topic on the show. So how in the world did you just happen to have a roll of toilet paper just standing by just in case? Do you always have a roll of toilet paper on you at all times?
I'll tell you why. I've been doing a lot of traveling the last couple of days, and I was blowing my nose with it. And then all of a sudden, I realized that you started talking about toilet paper. Who's gonna have a roll of toilet paper in their bathroom that's as large as the toilet seat? That don't even make sense. It takes up too much space.
You know I love stocking up. I love it. And with my 5 kids, we're running through toilet paper so fast, you have no idea. Giant toilet paper roll is definitely a boss move. Having a roll of toilet paper on deck, standing by at all times, also a boss move. When we come back, we'll tell you more about Game 3 Wednesday night in the NBA Finals. Jalen, you're the best.
You do a lot of sitting on the toilet, I see.
Make sure you DVR every episode of Jalen Jacoby, airs at 2 p.m. on ESPN2. And don't forget, every single day we put out an exclusive podcast that has unique content that you will not see here on the television show. Make sure you subscribe to that and follow the show and us on social media everywhere. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. First question I have for you, Jalen Rose. Why are you wearing toilet paper around your neck like a necklace?
You know I stopped cursing like 16 years ago, but the only reason why I'm still wearing toilet paper because I'm the... You insert the final word.
You're the best. You're the best. I'm so curious of how you have toilet paper on deck at all times. Next time I see you, I'm going to go through your backpack. If you've got a roll of toilet paper in there, I'm going to start asking some serious questions. Next, we have Wednesday night. Game 3, pivotal Game 3. The series is now tied at 1-1. Again, all the conversation is about Klay Thompson and his strained hamstring. Jalen, you said that you do not think he should play, but why are you so passionate about the fact that he should not play?
Because I know we're prisoners of the moment. And when you see the Toronto Raptors play so well in game 1, everybody feels like, oh, they got what it takes to sweep the Golden State Warriors. And then when the Warriors play so well in game 2, oh, the Raptors don't have another chance. This is going to be a long series. You have to prepare as such. It's short-term thinking to put somebody on the floor that is so very valuable that you know is going to be limited with a hamstring injury. This is not a tendon. This is not something that he can diagnose whether it's going to injure again. Now all of a sudden you're fighting through a screen, you're running, and you re-injure it and you pop it. Not only is he going to be gone for the series, but he's going to now have the summer to rehab an injury. Don't they have depth? Ain't the Warriors a super team? You can't get a game at home without Clay? Even if you lose the game, now all of a sudden you come back in game 4 with Clay and with KD and have your full arsenal.
So they've got Klay Thompson, who may or may not play. They've got Kevin Durant, who may or may not play. Take us behind the curtain. What goes into these decisions? What factors are evaluated when they decide whether or not someone is going to play?
One word, momentum. And you don't want the other team to get it. So they're probably thinking, we don't want Toronto to have game 3 on our floor without Clay. Then all of a sudden they win that game, and it's must-win time at home for the Golden State Warriors at game 4 because clearly they don't want to go to Toronto down 3-1. So I understand that logic, but they still have Steph. They still have Draymond. They still have Boogie. They're playing at home. I allow Clay a few more days to rest that hamstring.
Well, Jalen, game 3 is tomorrow night at 9 o'clock on ABC. At 8:30, you can catch Jalen on Countdown before that. We will be back tomorrow, ESPN2 at 2 o'clock to prepare you for game 3.
Back.
Tune in tomorrow.
You got to give the people